If you've had any cryptid encounters that you'd like me to share on here, email me at jttosstories@gmail.com. Story 1. This was a few years ago, but it's really stuck with me for just how strange it was. Anyway, I was heading out of my house at around 6 a.m. It was summer, so I took my walks at sunrise to avoid the daytime heat. I had done this many times and had my walk down to a science. Just my muscle memory could get me through. So shortly after leaving my home, I'm headed up this road towards the highway. I live behind a school, so I was very aware of the roads and vehicles, even if I was distracted by something else, which I was. As I walked down this road, I was going through playlists on my MP3 player. I was almost right on the intersecting road by the time I found what I wanted to listen to and looked up. Everything was normal, and there were no cars to be seen, which made sense, as it was a Saturday morning. So I continued up towards the highway where there was a sidewalk. But about 3 intersections from the highway, I noticed a shadow on the school zone sign ahead of me. Figuring that it was just mine, I kept walking. It was only 2 intersections away when a disturbing thought hit me. I was walking east. There was no way that shadow belonged to me. And since there was absolutely no one else around, there was no way on Earth that shadow was really a shadow. And as if it could read my thoughts in sudden fear, a figure stepped out into the intersection right behind the school. And the only thing I can figure is that it was a gray alien, and had all the features. Spindly limbs, enormous head, gigantic black eyes, and barely a nose, ears, or lips to speak of. For anyone else, this would have been time to panic and run, but my military training kicked in. I didn't know what it was, I didn't know what it wanted, and I knew it had no place this close to my home and my children. So I charged at it, hoping at the very least to run it off, or better still, find some way to capture it. Of course, under both those desires, I wanted to kill it. To this day, I still don't know why I wanted to kill it. Maybe it was part of my training that had stuck into my brain. Or maybe it was because this thing was undoubtedly a threat, at least in my mind. I don't think aliens come all the way to our neck of the intergalactic woods just to hide behind signs. There was something going on here, and I had to fix it. The next thing I know, I'm standing in the intersection. The creature was gone. Naturally, I was confused. The sun was higher than it should have been, and a quick glance at my MP3 player showed that I missed at least 10 songs. By my best guess, I was missing nearly a half hour of time. Now, scared and disoriented, I turned back and walked home. It was already getting hot, and heat stroke was not going to help me sort out everything that had just happened. I haven't told this story to anyone other than my parents and a single friend. We all agree that this was something strange, and that whatever it was definitely not right. Even now, years later, I wonder what I really saw. Was it really an alien? Did I honestly try to capture and kill an actual extraterrestrial? I don't have those answers, and that scares me. But one thing is, I don't think I got abducted. I don't have weird dreams, and I couldn't find any mysterious marks anywhere on my body. The only thing I can't explain is a painful feeling in my upper left arm. I feel like there's something in there, but x-rays haven't shown anything. Could it be that I was tagged by this creature the same way we tag animals for study? Another question I can't answer. And that scares the daylights out of me. The pain has not gone away, but I have become accustomed to it. Maybe one day, I'll be able to get better scans of my arm and see if there's maybe a different machine that can see what those x-rays can't. If you have any ideas that you think might help out, let me know. I'm open to anything, and any opinion is welcome, even if it is just to call me stupid for trying to catch an alien with my bare hands. Someone else has had a similar experience. I'd like to hear about it. Maybe you can help me find some answers. Story 2. When I was 13, my mom decided I would be going to military boarding school. It was located north of Mexico in a place called Durango. Durango is known because it's home to so many creepy things. Cartels, the Zone of Silence, ghost towns, UFO sightings, etc. I was in that school for around 6 years, and one day a friend invited me and other students to go to his hometown to have some tacos with his dad, a well-known rancher. When we arrived at the town, we went to his house, had some drinks, and eventually he decided it was time to go. We hopped in his pickup truck, and he began driving right when the sun was setting. After about half an hour, everything was dark, and we had to turn on the headlights. I was in the front seat with my friend, and we had just arrived at the place. He slowed down the car, and we could hear the nocturnal wildlife and some scratches from branches and plants on the car. The headlights allowed us to see just enough to distinguish shapes. He stopped the car right in front of a little lake, lagoon, pond, I don't really know. We could see some bushes and trees around the water, and a few meters in front of the right headlight, we could see what we thought was a rock. The guys started unloading the truck while they joked around. My friend and I were still in the front smoking or something. All of a sudden he froze and said, "Did you see that?" Well, he pointed to the rock in front of the car with the tip of his cigarette. That just moved. Since I've always wanted to see a cryptid or something, I remained still, and we were both looking at this rock. When all of a sudden it turned its head around to face us with what I thought was a golem-like face, big round yellow eyes, arched back, and I turned to my friend. He grabbed his gun and quickly got out of the car, fired 2 shots at the sky. All this while people are still unloading the truck and making a fire for the grill. I heard a few screams. I saw this creature looked up at the sky, turn around, and hop to the water. Right after that, everyone began asking what happened. My friend told us that it was actually a common sight. He said that his father and grandfather often saw the creature when they were hunting. He said that they called it Hombre Rana, or Frogman. Just a few of the guys saw the thing. We still had the tacos and everything. We were a little creeped out, but we assumed the Frogman was probably more scared of us than we were of him. I saw many creepy, odd, and downright terrifying things in Durango, but the Frogman takes the cake. Story 3. When I was 13, I was on an ATV with my 2 older sisters, one 15 and the other 18. We were going to my grandma's house, which was less than 2 kilometers away from my parents' place. We were traveling through our fields, but on the way, I suggested that we go around the fence, so we didn't have to open the gates. It was pretty much the same path, just a bit off to the side. We had gates because this was our pasture for the cows. As we get to the middle of the road, we all noticed something sitting on top of the hill that we were about to climb. On top of this hill, we had a somewhat big pile of rocks from working the fields a long time ago. We slowed to a crawl because it looked human. We thought maybe a calf fell and got stuck, or maybe it was my uncle who looked after the cattle. But the thing was sitting really weirdly, basically like how Spider-Man perches over buildings, crouched down on top of the rock. As we were sitting there, trying to figure out what we were seeing, this thing slowly stood up and my heart sank. Its arms are long, grossly long. I screamed to stop and instantly jumped from the front of the ATV to the driver, replacing my sister. As we were switching, this thing started running at us, but it was running weird. Its arms were swaying back and forth like a normal runner, but because of how long the arms were, it just looked bizarre. You would think it would run on its arms, but it didn't. It was running fast. I turned around and shot off straight through the field. My sisters were screaming. It was still coming, but I honestly could not look back at this thing. I just said, "Don't look at it." We rounded the corner, and last we saw it. After the corner, it trails to my parents' house. As we got home, I crashed the ATV into the deck, trying to get in as fast as we could. We were so scared, my parents actually believed us. They called all the family to warn if it was a trespasser. They said nobody saw anything or anyone in those fields. Now I want to describe this thing. It was tall, skinny, and wore no clothes. Just a body is what we could see. Grayish color, and the head wasn't really shaped like a human's. It was thin and small. We were about 30 or 40 meters from this thing during the day, and this happened in Alberta, Canada.